Hey, everybody, you're watching the Mount Rushmore podcast and listening if you're listening. And it's myself, Jeff, and my good buddies, Richard
Hello.
and Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael are coming to us from veritable construction sites, homes that have been turned into a work zone and by accident, on purpose, by unexpected or unwanted um, renovations. And that is the topic of this week's episode. And I think they may have some personal experience to add. Maybe it's all going to be personal experience when they choose their Mount Rushmores. Guys, can you hear me over the nailing and construction work that is currently happening in your homes? Oh, a forklift. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's good enough to get going. So, why don't we start with Michael, who may have had the most recent experience?
Okay, well, you know what? I will talk about my most recent experience. So I live in an apartment and over on the top floor of an apartment. And over the last, couple of weeks here in Los Angeles, we've had just this really heavy rain. Now, we have been unaffected by the rain, thankfully. Although in the past, we've certainly had our ceiling bubble and cave in from who knows what. But the downstairs neighbors had their ceiling bubble and cave in and flood from water damage because we have this kind of a deck patio thing that extends off of our kitchen. That's pretty big. You guys have both been over for parties and hanging out and whatever. We have this nice kind of big area that a couple years ago had a lot of water damage down below, and they repaired-ish. They never really sealed the deck that they did. It's this tile work. Well, of course, the downstairs neighbors had this water damage again. Well, cut back to last week, and they got a text from the landlord saying that we're going to do some work on your patio. Can we have access? Or actually, we don't need to go through your apartment. We can all do it outside. We're going to try to figure out a solution. And flash forward to me looking out like the window, and they're building like this huge extension like awning thing onto like our little awning thing that we have that had no idea it was coming. That is done so poorly, that has these huge like 1/4-inch gaps on some of like the woodworking that's done in between the rafters or whatever, and this awful plastic sheeting, and it's so cheaply made. And like I'm just in the process of like crafting this like now I'm tired.
Strongly worded letter.
3 minutes into this podcast and I'm tired. Just talking about like what we didn't request this. Why is this like this? What are you guys doing?
Mhm.
But I guess the perils of this sort of thing, of the landlord taking action that you didn't want to have something repaired that you didn't need to have repaired for your selves. I mean, we've all lived in apartments. We've all dealt with people going about the cheapest possible way to fix a problem, and
That's always the case. Always the
and I,
case.
and I imagine that like for like homeowners like you guys, like there's a high end for a bid and a low end for a bid, and somewhere in the middle is where you want to fall. And I feel like this the people that we rent from somehow find the lowest end of, I don't even think it's bidded out. I think it's just the people that they've been using for years for some reason. And yeah, I have got this monstrosity that I have to deal with.
And you were not informed that it would come, is that right?
We were just informed that they were going to move plants on our deck to do some sort of try to repair the leak and to repair some maybe. I assumed that they were going to try to seal the deck, that they were waiting for all the rain to have subsided and come in, and nope, we got this thing, and now it's just another thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel bad for our neighbors downstairs. They're wonderful people, and they've had to deal with it, like the water damage. But that being said, this thing looks like shit.
Yeah. It's a very soon to be. It looks like not the best stopgap measure for water because it looks like something that water would just kind of destroy pretty quickly. From what I could see from the photos you took. Well, good news is, Michael, this shadowy figure in the lower third, which you thought was Richard,
Mm.
is actually your landlord. So,
Yes. So I came
Well,
up from the basement over here, and we got some flooding going on. I don't know why I turned into Joe Pesci from the Super.
well, I've got
Wildly appropriate.
this very delicately accusatorily crafted text that I'm about to send off. I'll just listen to the podcast. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, Richard, what's your first choice?
All right, my first choice is water heater fiascos.
Oh,
Now, having a water heater go on you is bad because you wind up, not only is it a giant mess, but you're without hot water for however long it takes to get the water heater fixed. We've had this happen twice in the 3 years, I guess it's been, since we moved in. We've lost 2 water heaters. Both of them sprung leaks. And the real problem with that, beyond just all of not having a water heater and having a leak, is that we are on the second floor with our water heater. For whatever reason, this house was built in a way, we always joke around that all of the construction feels like somebody knew a guy. Yeah, I know a guy who can do that. A lot of that is happening, like whenever they cut the air conditioning, there was like no vent there was a vent in the bathroom, but there was no vent in the living room. Weird stuff like that. So the first water heater went, and it was under warranty, got it replaced. About a year later, start to notice that we have in our hallway on the second floor, we have like this washable rug. And we had noticed it was really wet. Now, we have a cat that pees on things a lot. So we thought, God damn cat's peeing on this again. Washed it. Day or so later, it's wet again. Wait a second. Open the water heater up, and it's just water leaking out. It's flooded.
Oh.
And trying to get a water heater replaced under warranty is a real pain. For whatever reason, and maybe it's the company, and I won't mention the company's name, and it's Ream. I won't mention the company's name, but you physically have to return it to the place where you bought it in order to get the refund. So if it was purchased at a Home Depot, you have to take it back to that same Home Depot in order to do the refund. I'm not carrying a water heater around. It was just this big mess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's the water heater. It's one of those things that you just take hot water for granted until you don't have it, and you're not able to take a hot shower, or, basically the not being able to take a hot shower for several days, and you've got to replace the bowl that you've got underneath the leak every like 4 hours. So you have to wake up in the middle of the night so it doesn't leak and overflow again. You just don't. It's just a lot of home repairs are things that you just take for granted when they work.
Mm-hmm.
The water heater is definitely one of those.
Yeah, I found that with the water heater, I'll realize in stages the impact that it has. Like, oh, I can't take a hot shower. Well, I'll just pour some hot water for tea and sit down and relax. Think, oh,
I can't do that.
I can't do that.
And well, go ahead, Jeff.
And then, or I'll do some dishes and bide my time. No, there's nothing you can do.
No, you can't do your dishes unless you like doing in cold water, which doesn't work. And it's just one of those things that is absolutely like, how did people live 100 years ago before ready hot water? We had to boil everything, and medieval times practically.
What's funny is my wife and I spent about an hour watching a YouTube channel in Azerbaijan where this couple just lives in Azerbaijan. And
Oh,
this woman is all day just making food, and it's the most peaceful YouTube channel. And they have nothing. They have a fire, and they boil water over the fire regularly. They're having tea. It looks like if you went to an expensive spa resort, you would pay thousands of dollars, and they don't have a water heater. But I think also, as the gentleman of the house, like, I know you don't adhere to toxic masculine gender roles, but when something like that goes out, I feel like I am bad provider. I am not good husband.
with this I don't, because this was crappy, faulty equipment. When the second water heater broke, they tried to send us a part and say, well, you could just replace the part. But then we brought a plumber in, and he's like, no, it's not the part, it's the whole thing is busted.
Oh,
So
geez. Yeah.
I felt more justified that it wasn't me just not wanting to do my manly duty.
Yeah.
And not want to roll my sleeves up and try and do the work. Also, it's one of those things I don't like messing with. Anything that's highly pressurized, no thanks.
No. Yeah. You don't need to be scalded on your moneymaker, your face.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Why do you think I have all this lighting on me right now? Showing off the goods, baby.
All right, Winfield, your second choice. What is it?
I'll stay within the realm of plumbing, and this is any sort of toilet/septic line repair. Now,
Oh,
I haven't had a lot of it. Occasionally you get to that situation where like the toilet bowl is like not, it keeps filling up, and like you rush for the plunger, and then everything goes down. You're like, okay, well, averted a national crisis inside the apartment. But like, I can't imagine what it's like when you own a property and like whatever the sewer line that leads from your house to the sewer needs to be like dug up and unclogged, or dug up and it's been broken, or just the moving of earth to repair like the foulest possible like pipe in your house seems like just the ungodliest, most horrible, just foulest thing that can possibly imagine. I know we all have a mutual friend and former guest of the show, Scott, who I watched like pictures of him like having to go through this sort of thing, and I felt so bad for whenever your property has to get dug up for them to like dig down and find a pipe that's buried deep beneath the earth that is also like full of just like crude material. Just like, man, no thank you.
yeah. That point, you feel like you're digging down. You're going to see where orcs are born.
Yeah. The Balrog comes out of the pipe, and you need a Gandalf to fight it off.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
any sort of like, I don't know, any sort of like, I'm with you, Richard, in the same terms of like water repair. I'm just not going to go near it. Toilet repair, water repair, I don't know what I'm doing. Like the closest I've ever gotten was like replacing like a faucet like on my bathtub that was like starting to get rusted over because we'd lived here so long, and who knows how long it was before. But that felt like, okay, well, nothing is connected to anything that will back up and ruin anything. But like, just, the plumbers, electricians, all these people are experts. You pay them a premium for a reason. They can deal with this, in some cases, literal shit.
Yeah.
For me, it's never been less than like a certain amount. Like anymore, when you bring your car in, it's $400 or more. And with plumbing, it's at least like 1,000, or especially when somebody's kind of opening up the bowels of the earth. And my experience is like, I've never lived in a home that's new, so it always seems like the person comes up with something that looks like it would have been dug up when they had the Ark of the Covenant, like in that site, like an excavation site, something. It's Mayan pottery. Well, is that Mayan pottery? No, that was your main line from the city water supply. It's like, oh wow, okay. Richard, what do you got?
All right, my second one is, remember when I said that our water heater was on the second floor? Remember that part of the story?
Yeah.
So it turns out that directly below the water heater is our kitchen. And when you have a leak that lasts for several days and don't realize that it's leaking, you wind up with major water damage in your kitchen. And when you have major water damage in your kitchen, you often wind up with toxic mold.
Oh.
When that happens, guess what? You get a new kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's what we went through this winter. Just got our kitchen. It took about a month to get everything done eventually. And yeah, it was between the toxic mold assessment and the remediation and then getting all of the kitchen stuff done. I'm not going to say how much it was because it hurts whenever I think about how much it was, but it was a lot, man. And
Now here's a question. So is it all like I don't know. It's all tied to one event. So like the insurance, I assume that there's some sort of insurance involved. Who starts blaming who for what? And is at some point do you get like, is any of it like satisfied?
oh boy, you want to talk about insurance? I won't mention my insurance carrier because this one I will not, because there was actually, we had to get the state involved with it.
Wow.
But we filed a claim for the initial water damage, which included the water heater, where the hot water heater was, and then the flooring on the second floor.
Yeah.
And we got that paid out. And there was also we needed the downstairs ceilings repainted because the water had bubbled up and screwed up the paint. After we realized that there's actually toxic mold damage in the kitchen cabinets and further damage that we didn't realize, we attempted to file a supplemental claim with our insurance, which is what you do. You say, hey, it turns out that we actually realized there's additional damages, so we need to get covered for it. And our insurance company basically went completely dark on us. The insurance adjuster, after like one phone call where he said, well, you kind of need to send this over, and the contractor, we had some questions about it, tried to go back to my contact with the insurance company, just ghosted us, didn't return my emails, didn't return phone calls. I got the number of his supervisor wasn't returning phone calls either. And it's because the name brand insurance company I bought the home owner's policy through actually subs out the insurance policy to somebody else. So if I call the name brand insurance company, they say, well, it's somebody else's. It's actually this company's responsibility. And I just got a several month long runaround trying to get this supplemental claim. My wife actually got some satisfaction from it because she posted on social media how unhappy she was with the insurance process. And somebody from the social media team within, I don't know, couple of hours, got hold of her and said, we're going to have somebody to get back to you right away on this. So it does, just so you know, bitching about stuff on social media can work. And at the same time, I filed a claim with the California Insurance Commission, since I'm here in California. And that was eventually what got somebody, once that claim got filed and an official complaint was sent back to the insurance company, within a day or two, somebody called me up. Okay, we're going to take care of this. Here's what I need you to send in. We sent it in, and like within a day, we had a check in our bank account.
Wow.
So it just took a lot of threatening and paperwork and hassle on my end, because look, the insurance companies are not there to protect you.
No.
Flo may seem like Flo is there to help you out, or the Gecko. They're all adorable, but they're not. They're sharks, man. They just want your money.
Yeah.
They want to not pay out as much as they can, and it's just so stupid. I mean, we were looking for about a few $1,000s, because there's a set limit in terms of mold repair, in terms of what you can get back according to our policy. So it wasn't a huge amount of money necessarily compared to what this insurance company pays out every day in insurance claims. It was a drop in the bucket for them. But even for that drop in the bucket, they were willing to stall, ignore, just do everything they could to not pay this claim out.
It's like the J.K. Simmons. He's a spokesperson for Liberty or
Farmers.
Allstate Farmers.
Yeah.
It's like his character in the commercial is what you think you get, but it's more his character in Whiplash. You know, is this guy.
Yeah.
That's or at least J. Jonah Jameson, this argumentative, horrible person.
Yeah. So, I mean, the bottom line is we got a new kitchen. We love it. Looks great. Have a dishwasher for the first time in my life. And I am washing the hell out of some dishes in that dishwasher. Let me tell you. Having never had one before, it is such a game changer in terms of just we create because we have kids and we just generate a lot of like little like dishes, you know, like small plates and cups and things like that. And instead of having to hand wash all of those, the ability just to throw it in the dishwasher, run it once a day or every day and a half or something like that. It's really remarkable how much time that saves.
So the little happy ending to that.
There is a happy ending.
There's a happy ending.
I can't wait till the dishwasher breaks and then it leaks.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
All the crockery is rusted out. Yeah.
I want to know what kind of buzz you got when you smoked that toxic mold you scraped off the.
Oh, buddy. Let me tell you, I was seeing some things you set your hair on fire.
I was seeing unresolved insurance claims. Okay, well, this is our halftime.
That's a bad trip if I've ever heard one, by the way.
Speaking of seeing things, if you're seeing this, seeing our faces, we're grateful that you're watching us on YouTube or some other place where you see stuff. If you're hearing this, we're grateful that you're listening on your podcast player of choice. And so instead of just listening or watching, maybe you could have your voice heard on this podcast. Make a suggestion as to a topic you'd like to hear spoken about, and maybe you could be on the podcast with us, joining us in discussion of that. So we'd love to have you write to us on one of our social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Good luck with that TikTok. So now we're back. So Michael Winfield, I don't sense that you're going to beat Richard in this race. It seems like he's got maybe a lot more ammo in his gun, but I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe you can.
Well, I don't know. Richard, have you ever had a dog eat part of your wall, or a dog eat part of your windowsill, or a dog chew through your cables, your the cable to like your cable TV or your internet or anything like that?
No, we got a cat stuck in the wall, but that was another.
That's a good one.
That's another story for another time.
Okay. Is the dog currently eating the cable that's your laptop's plugged in or anything like that?
we just let him. He's just eating us literally out of house and home. When our dog was a puppy, we used to like board him in one of like our back rooms, or we'd at some point he had the kind of the run of the house, and we noticed that, puppies like to chew on things, and we'd come into the room and we noticed like he would start like trying to chew through like the door jamb. So we just have all this repair along, like just teeth marks and like blood, and like he's just teething and gnawing at things. And it's just like these holes, and just, it looks like, this termites or something had gotten into it, just like working its way slowly up the wall. Same thing happened like on like the windowsill by our bed. He'd go and take a nap in our bed, and then you just see like this huge, like chewed out like windowsill mark. And then at some point, like the internet just stopped working, or cable stopped working when we used to have cable. Like we'd have the box, and we had like wires run along all the way from like the entry point to, strung around to our living room. And we called the cable guy out, and he's like, yeah, just nothing's working. I'm looking at the thing, and it's got the service here and whatever, or it's intermittent. And the dude comes out and he's like, yeah, looks like your dog ate all the wiring.
Are
And
you sure you have a dog, Michael, and you don't have a raccoon by accident?
entirely possible, entirely possible. But like, we talk about like unwanted or just these little home repairs, and just inserting a wild animal into your home has gotta account for something. Maybe it's like a bird that has taken root, or like a hornet's nest that has start shooting angry. I was going to say angry bees, but that would be a bee's nest. But angry hornets at you. But having this dog that eventually has grown into just this lump that sleeps on the couch. But boy, those early years of just destruction, and just trying to match and find. We live in like this older apartment building, just like this molding that could somewhat closely match it. Just impossible. I mean, we never even fixed the windowsill. It's just still chewed up, and what are you gonna do? We'll move out eventually.
You could probably get your email on the dog for a couple of days there, though, because he had so many megabytes in him. Okay, so the first
Megabytes.
the first animal on the rogues gallery is champagne toast. Is that what it is? So let's hear about the cat in the wall.
Oh, me? Well, this isn't
Yeah.
one of my choices, but as we were doing the kitchen renovations, they were knocking out, doing demo work in the walls, and a cat that we thought was going to stay in his room the whole time did not stay in his room the whole time, and got in one of the holes, and then nobody realized it, and they sealed it up, and we couldn't find the cat that night. And then later on, we started to hear this really muffled sound coming from inside the wall, and which then began a weekend-long process of us cutting holes in the wall. We eventually got to the point where the cat would come close to the hole in the wall, but just out of like arm's reach, and then would back away and run back deeper into the house, into the wall. And this went on for 2 days until Sunday night. For whatever reason, it just decided, I guess I'm done now, and bolted out of the hole in one of the holes that we had cut into the wall. I mean, we thought that thing was never going to come out.
It seems like a movie from David Lynch and Walt Disney.
The cat in the wall.
The cat in the wall.
No, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia plot point. Dee gets a cat stuck in her wall, and Charlie decides to send another cat in to make friends with the cat and lure it out, and then that cat gets stuck in the wall. We tried to lure it out with food, with water, with like laser pointers, and this cat is kind of skittish and really enjoys hanging out under the bed, which is why we didn't think much about it at first when we couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I think this cat would have been happy if we would have left that hole open, and it could have spent the rest of its life just sort of hanging out in the walls.
Yeah.
Most stressful weekend I think I just about have ever had in my life.
But that wasn't one of your choices. So what's your third?
Third choice is the excitement of having a car crash into your front yard.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Which happened to us a couple of years ago. Especially exciting for my wife, as she was taking our dog for a walk, and was about a half a block away when she saw the accident.
Wow.
That sent the car careening from the busy intersection into the front yard. Wow. By way of our gate, or our side fence, which was wrought iron and did absolutely zilch to keep the car out. The only thing that kept the car from going into our house is we have bougainvilleas all along that wall. Yeah. Those things have really strong roots. Oh, wow. That's what protected it. Most of the bougainvillea didn't even come out of the roots, but the wrought iron fence just crumpled like it was made out of aluminum.
That is crazy.
This is an Avatar situation, right? This is like man, this is like the power of nature versus the power of these flying flying machines. And there's one you can stop with eventual rust, and whatever the other one is, you dig down deep and then turn.
Sarah does swear she heard "I am Groot" coming from the house when the car crashed. So I'm not sure what that means.
What was the? Oh, it took you a while to get like a new fence, right? Was this
Yeah,
all
we
new
had
fence?
to. Yeah, it didn't take. I mean, it was just something that it was more kind of like dragging our heels on our part. The actual on that one, the insurance came through with it pretty quickly. It was hard to find somebody who would actually do the work because we needed to clean up all of the bougainvilleas that had been ripped out, along with taking care of the fence. So it was like a 2-part process. And we were trying to find somebody who would do everything for us. And you could either find a fence guy or you could find, landscaping guys.
Yeah.
Eventually we kind of got it all figured out. But it did take a little while. So we had just, and we live on, as Jeff, you've been here before. We live on a busy street. We just had our front yard was like wide open.
Yeah.
With a crumpled fence kind of
sitting. I wouldn't even be so sure if you did put a new fence in that the bougainvillea wouldn't itself just rip that new fence out, just kind of reject it.
Nope. like a heart transplant gone bad.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like ain't no fence helped us before. Yeah.
Exactly. It was, and my wife, after the accident happened, and she ran over there actually. As she was running, she dropped her phone, and one of the neighbors who was also out there went and very nicely picked it up and brought it over to her. And I think his comment after he dropped off the phone and asked how she was doing was, "So I bet you never get a corner lot again."
Oh.
Which I hadn't thought about. But then we started driving around the neighborhood, and a lot of the corner lots, you could see where there was like, "Oh, that looks like a newer fence than the house."
Oh, okay.
That looks like there's been some construction work done there on that. One of the things you don't think about when you're home shopping necessarily, but being on a corner lot, especially on a busy street, is a recipe for somebody to come careening into it, which happened at our old place we were renting. A 18-wheeler tried to drive down our residential-ish street. It's fairly busy, but it's not super busy, but it's facing off of Beverly Boulevard. So it's facing a busy street. And it was too tall for the street lamp or the traffic light. Hit the traffic light, knocked that over into our yard and almost into the building, and then kept driving off.
Jeez.
So again, the joys of living in a corner lot. So pro tip, if you guys are ever looking to buy a house, especially if you're in any place that's urban, beware of the corner lot.
Wow. Okay. Cautionary tale.
Yep.
I wonder if the Geico Gecko caught up with the trucker.
I did.
You did.
I actually was like, I'm going to get in my car and see if I can figure out where this guy went, because the truck has to be damaged.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I was him, I would drive a couple of blocks away, and then I would park, and I would try and figure out what I was going to do from there. So I drove, and within 5 minutes, I had found the truck parked on the side of the road on Melrose Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
You got the mail that was still sticking out of the fender or whatever.
Called the police, gave them the truck information because the guy wasn't there. He had abandoned it. I don't know what wound up happening to it, but I felt like I was in a 70s like a PI show.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you put on a lieutenant
or something?
Lieutenant Columbo trench coat? Just
one more question about this truck, man.
Okay, Michael, what's your final choice?
I'd like to cycle back to roofs. I don't think we really talked about roofs very much, but I am always impressed when someone buys a house and then they get an inspection done, and then they say, "Yeah, you got 5 or 6 more years left of this roof on before it goes bad," and then like they're like really accurate. Like in 5 years, like the roof starts leaking. Do they have like a dipstick? Do they dip in? How can you tell? This goes back to the professionalism of like whoever these people that do all these fixes are, roofers and electricians and plumbers and everything. But the entire roof needing to be replaced, which is like an endeavor. I have several neighbors that I've had them done in the last few years here. And whenever there's rain, there's just conversation about roofs and leaks and whatever. And the recent rains have led to a lot of like walking the dog / conversations with neighbors about, they said it was going to take 5 to 7 years. And then 6 years in, we had to get the whole new roof put on. And it's like $30,000. And it's just like, what is going on? How much is a goddamn roof? Why do they last? How do they know that they last? It's amazing to me. But like, that is one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I'm convinced it's a conspiracy.
It's a big racket.
It's a big racket.
That's the next thing that I'm worried about. With everything else, with this house that was built in, I think it was 2007, so not that old, is seemingly falling apart. I'm just looking at that roof and I'm like glaring at it like, don't you dare start to leak.
Our recent somewhat semi-fiasco was having our roof repaired 6 months ago, and then the roofers allowed damage to happen to the pool cage screen, and then company comes out to fix the pool cage screen, but roofers didn't pay them because I guess the roofers are broke or the roofers are sketchy or something like that. So I've got subcontractors sending letters to my house saying, we're going to try to put a lien on your house or something because the roofers aren't paying them. So it's that's when the people you pay can't pay their bills, then people come after you because they know your mailing address, which is a big drag. So Richard, what's your final one?
Mine's a little more minor inconvenience. It's a doorbell. Always, when you don't own a home.
This is so quaint and lovely. I love this.
When you don't own a home and you go to somebody's house and you see the thing of tape over the doorbell, which is the universal signal for don't ring the doorbell, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I used to think, okay, how much can it cost to replace a doorbell? How hard could this be? Maybe you guys are being just a little bit lazy. Then our doorbell stopped working a few months after we moved in. It wasn't that much longer. And we called a guy out, called a couple of electricians, and the consensus seemed to be it wasn't the doorbell, it was the transformer.
Oh.
And it was going to be like $1,000 to replace.
What?
So we now have tape on the doorbell. And I am just content to be a lazy bastard and let people who are showing up here knock. That's fine.
That's fine.
Doorbell seems like a luxury at this point more than a necessity.
It seems like a little grace note to end that your trials and tribulations on.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Michael?
I imagine that's just like an Amazon purchase. That is just like a 1999 one that kind of works, that triggers some terrible, like you just patch over the hole where the doorbell used to be and just put the cheapest thing possible in there because like you said, who's coming to your door anymore?
Delivery guys, and I usually just have them leave it at the front door anyway.
Oh, that is if someone was to ring my doorbell, not that we have one that works, but if they were, it would drive me crazy.
Oh.
It would drive me crazy. I'd just leave it. Don't announce yourself. Don't let me know it's there. There's things that are telling me that it's there.
I can't get them to use the doorbell. It peeves me. Like they set stuff out and like
the three stages of man. Ring the doorbell. Don't you dare. I'm just gonna leave it.
All right, dudes. Well, let's get to some judging. Richard, you have the patience of Job or something, or your family does. Let's go. I'm gonna it's gonna lean heavy on your side. Let's go to car crash. I guess through water damage, and let's go hot water heater. And Michael, let's go with old dog.
Yeah, dog
the,
is good.
the dog that ate, but also sending good vibes your way that you can successfully get that eyesore of a terrace roof off your terrace or whatever, the terrorist terrace.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, my dudes, this has been the Mount Rushmore of unwanted, unplanned, unneeded renovations in your home. I'm always Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I'm Michael.